Hey guys, Reza here from Budget Audio Reviews. I'm right now in my quarantine facility in Amara Hotel. That's the reason why you see this setting is a bit different. Probably audio is actually a bit better because there's lots of curtains and carpets in the room. It's very interesting times in Singapore, and recently we've got this huge, massive KTV clusters that caused a lot of Singaporeans to get infected with COVID-19, and the government has been working hard to, ring fence the COVID-19 spread. So there's somebody that visited our gym on the 10th of July, and some of us were in contact of that case. We are all COVID-19 negative, but to be on the safe side, our government put us in quarantine for about a week plus or so. So here I am doing my review in the hotel room, roughly right now at about 11 p.m. at night. Alright guys, today I'll be bringing you the QOA Vesper. I bought this with my own money. This was Singapore dollars $73 to $72. In US dollars, it's about $53. It's significantly cheaper if you can find the deal in Shopee. So if you're in Singapore, Malaysia, or the Philippines, try to go to Shopee to look for some of these deals. There is quite a big difference in terms of the price between Shopee and AliExpress. I'm quite surprised that AliExpress is actually more expensive by at least 7 to 10 US dollars for the QOA Vesper. I think it's quite a rip-off if you can find it on AliExpress at that kind of big margin. So do your shopping on Shopee if you can. Sometimes you get some really good stuff on Shopee. Okay, let's dive down right into it. So I did ask the shop to send me the green one, which I thought I liked, the green Vesper. But the guy messaged me a couple of days later, like 3 days later, say we're out of the green one. So he says, can I send you the pink one or the purple one? I said, sure, send the purple one. And to my surprise, it actually looked very, very beautiful. I like the way how the pink and purple one looks like. So let me show you just the IEM itself. I'm just going to drop the case on this side, on the right side. Now, my initial impressions are on NBBA. So if you guys are not familiar with NBBA, do join us on Facebook. NBBA is all about no BS budget audiophile gear, where we try to look for, typically the better sounding gear, not the best, the better sounding gear for a good budget, for a good price. So we do some of these comparisons as well. So the Vesper looks amazing. I like what they have done with the shell. The shell is really, really smooth, and there's no sharp edges whatsoever. And I think the build quality is really, really excellent on the Vesper. Okay, so from the initial impressions, I was blown away by how good the build quality is. It doesn't feel cheap at all, and I really appreciate what they have done with the cables here in terms of the quality of the cable. Some close-up shots here on the camera. So these cables feel really, really good. They feel, high quality stuff. You'll probably be paying about almost 20, maybe 15 Singapore dollars for these cables, or could potentially be more. It depends. So here's the jack. So if you can see the jack quality here, the QOA logo is on it. They have this nice and soft feel when you wear them. There is no microphonics on the body at all. They're very supple, yet they feel, they don't feel cheap to me. I thought they put a lot of effort on putting the packaging together. In the box, you will find 2 sets of ear tips. There's a like almost a translucent black one, which is like a pair of bass tips, and this one's here, which is, as you can see, these are like white bore tips. So they're a bit softer and white bore, so I believe this accentuates the mids a little bit more. I do like to wear this ones because it helps to lift up the mids for the vocals a bit more, and they sound much, much better than the translucent black one. Yeah, so if I peel these guys out, you can see the nozzle. It's a bit different, the nozzle. Some call this the pig nose nozzle. It doesn't have your typical wire mesh. It's got this other, just 2 holes that's going in. So it's my first time seeing an IEM designed this way. Okay, so it is a 1DD 10mm dynamic driver and one balanced armature Nowell's driver, which is very impressive for the price. The test source is done through this camera here, which is the Samsung Galaxy S10. All right, through UApp/Tidal. I stream Tidal through UApp, and using mostly on my iFi hip deck, and recently was the Loconex CE0275 dongle deck. All right, that's on the other video as well. Test tracks for this IEM was using Mala by Gerino DeMarco, Fast and Furious 9, Alive and Kicking by Mr. Big, Just Take My Heart by Mr. Big, A Better Life by Dream Theater, and Let's Fall in Love by Diana Krall. So I've been recently on a Mr. Big binge lately, so I've been listening a lot to Mr. Big's really hard rock stuff, ballads and all that, so it's really awesome enjoying them on this pair of beautiful IEMs. All right, build quality and accessories, honestly it's one of the better ones I've seen at this price range. I absolutely love the finish and fit of the Vesper. You know, it's apparently designed for ladies and therefore slightly smaller on size, but I've got fairly large Asian ears. Let me just untangle this guy a little bit. I have fairly large Asian ears. I was thinking that this could be a bit loose on my ears, but surprisingly not. So I have a very good fit for this one. You know, it goes right into my ears and it doesn't slip, neither does it pop out on my ears, or neither does it feel too loose. With the large tips, it fits really good. All right, so I'm impressed with the quality of cable. I talked about it a lot earlier on. Ear tips provided, I talked about it earlier on. Two varieties, the stiffer narrow bore and this you know, soft wide bore ones. So they are really good. These guys, they lift up the mids a little bit more, they accentuate some of the trebles a little bit more. In terms of sound, okay, it has a gentle U-shape close to neutral sound. So these guys, you don't get big bass, you don't get sharp trebles, you don't get accentuated trebles, you don't get a lot of air on the Vesper. All right, but surprisingly you get good soundstage on this guy, so that's the interesting part. Yeah, so we'll get to that a bit later. The trebles roll off fairly steeply at about from 9 kilohertz onwards, so you don't get that top end shimmer and shine on cymbals actually. So as compared to the i4, the Tri-i4, you can get a better extension to trebles, you get better extension to bass, but as compared to the i4, the Vesper is a bit more neutral in that sense, meaning the mids stay fairly level in the mix. The i4, you get a bit more V, so I do get that recessed mids on the i4 a bit more, which is quite interesting when I compare it to the Vesper. Okay, all right. It's very sensitive to DACs, so this is quite interesting because the Vesper, I found that it had this ability to you know, put through the sound of different DACs. So when I run it with the hip DAC, it's one kind of sound, and I run it with the Loconex CE0275, it's also fairly with the CE0275, the mids push forward a bit more and trebles get more crisp. So these guys, they are very sensitive to source, which is very interesting. I like how this can be monitoring source or source monitoring earphones. Very interesting. The bass, the Vesper's got a clean, clear sub bass. It delivers good movie-like subwoofer effect if the track has it. So if you're going with like Mala, for instance, on that track on Fast and Furious 9, or you know, like thematic soundtracks, yeah, you do get that nice good sub bass boom. It goes really deep, and then you know, but it lacks a bit of that mid bass authority for rock music when you need the crunch of the distortion guitars and the kick drums. That's where all this mid bass resides, and it's a little bit lacking there, just very slightly. So typically in tracks like Alive and Kicking, where you like a bit more thump and power in the kick drums, but the Vesper sounds just a bit short of that, so you would like a little bit more. But you know, over time you get used to the sound, and I do like the overall tonality of the Vesper actually. Yeah, so but on tracks like Bossa Nova USA Live by Dave Brubeck's Quartet, fantastic. The drum sounds really crisp and clear and precise. Again, it lacks some of that authority a little bit on the drums, but other than that, you know, you do enjoy that drum performance very well. Yeah, mids, they are very clean. So the mids, they are very clean. I like how the mids come forward very clearly. They are not veiled at all. So I do like how the vocal presentation for Eric Martin's voice on Mr. Big Lean Into It album, very, very good. I do like that. As compared to the i4, I could feel Eric Martin's voice on i4 gets drowned a little bit in the bass and trebles. So his voice is like somewhere here, bass and trebles is up here. But with the Vesper, it stays up in the mix somewhere here, and I could hear Eric Martin coming forward and upwards just a little bit more, and really, really like that. Yeah. For trebles, the upper trebles are subdued to give you an easier listening experience. So, you know, if you like really crispy, sharp, shimmery, well extended trebles, and if trebles is what you enjoy, you know, the Vesper is really not like you. I compared the Vesper to the what's that? Yeah, I suddenly forgot. It's okay. The single BA one that I had recently. Well, that one is even flatter. It's really the Audio Sense. Yeah, Audio Sense DT800, if I'm not wrong, the single BA one. Yeah, that one sounds really flat as compared to the Vesper. That one totally no trebles, very woolly bass. Ugh, it's, you know, and yeah, it was just an experimental buy for me on that one. Okay, coming down to imaging, I like to use Bossa Nova USA Live for imaging, because I can hear exactly where those drums are. On better earphones, I can specifically tell you where the pianos are, where the drums are, where the snare drums are, where the cymbals are. So this guy is able to do it with a nice modest soundstage, which surprisingly for me, these guys have a soundstage that's actually wider than the i4. So the i4 on Dave Brubeck's Bossa Nova USA Live, the drums, especially the snare drums and the bass drums, it sounds really close to my ears, like compressed right here. But this guy, I feel the sense of space coming out on the side a bit more. Very good design, very, very good design. It's probably the tuning and also the shell design that's able to give that sort of sound stage. I really like what they've done here. The tonality of the Vesper is a neutral warm tone, you know, just like its colors here on the cables. It's got that nice balance between, you know, not overly warm, it gets too hot. So I call it, you know, neutral warm tone, well balanced bass and treble. So some neutral, you may hear this bass is up a little bit more, or trebles is up a bit more. This neutral, bass and trebles are in line here. Mids is scooped a little bit down here, but other than that, you know, it's really close to that neutral warm tone that I talked about. So I really like it, but for some people, you know, it could be a little bit boring for the Vesper, but I think this is definitely made for nice, long, easy listening sessions, not for critical listening sessions. The timbre is fairly neutral with a hint of note weight is a little thin. Again, I have issues with thin note weight, especially on drums when you want that harder hit on drums, but it's not coming to you. So this is okay, but as compared to the Tangim Tanya, the Tangim Tanya has a more solid, rounded timbre and note weight for percussions and string, wood acoustic instruments like the double bass, cello, and guitar. But overall, the Vesper pulls off most jazz tracks well for entertainment purposes. Genre suitability, instrumental jazz, jazz vocals, rock, slow electronic music like Mala, it works very well for the Vesper. It's not suitable for heavy metal. I tried this with Metallica, Black Album, even the live albums. It just can't keep up with the speed. Like Master of Puppets, it can't keep up with the speed of the drums and the cymbals. It starts to sound really splashy and can't keep up with the speed of the drums and even the guitars happening. Yeah, in summary, let's wrap this guy up. The Vesper is a much understated piece of ear gear that's well worth its current street price of US $53. So I'm surprised this guy didn't get enough you know, eye time, ear time, hype time. I guess because, you know, it's a new brand, it's not as big as you know, TRN, KZs, you know, BQEYZ, those that have had, you know, a lot of airtime on all these Facebook groups. This guy is kind of a bit, you know, well, it's kind of made for ladies. It's probably not meant for guys. What kind of a design is this, you know? So I took it with a pinch of salt and some risk factor involved, and I thought that, hey, Oh man, this is a treasure. It's quite interesting. I'll be keeping this guy for a while for sure, and you know, it's not something that we'll be letting go. So I'm personally impressed with it. Balance tuning, one, again, above average fidelity in terms of timbre, tone and soundstage. Definitely indeed a keeper for most budget conscious audiophiles. So QOA Vesper, QOA ladies, y'all did great on the QOA. I really love it. You know, if I had to give, you know, a star rating or a number rating, I think overall this guy would probably be a 4.5 over 5 for its price range, because this stays on my ear just for hours and hours on end, and I just love how everything comes together as a well balanced package from fit, wear, comfort, sound, haptics and everything. So alright guys, thanks so much for watching Budget Audio Reviews. If you like this video, do click that like, share, subscribe, and yeah, thanks QA, you all did great on the Vesper. Take care, stay safe, see you in the next video.